Halloween's almost here, guys, so continuing right along with Evil Dead month, we're jumping ahead 3 years and a console generation when I take a look at Evil Dead: A Fistful of Boomstick for the PlayStation 2.
This game, like the last one, was published by THQ, but this time around, development was handled by Vis Entertainment. They were the team behind such classics as Earthworm Jim 3D, not one but two Tom and Jerry fighting games, and State of Emergency. And you know, I cannot be the only one who gets major douche chills while looking at this cover. Coming off of Hail to the King, however, this has to be an improvement, right? Right off the bat, the tone and presentation are vastly improved from last time. The story is still a bit on the silly side, but in a good way. They seem to be having a lot more fun with the license, and Ash is ashier? The game opens with Ash relating a story to a mysterious, wrinkled gentleman. His tale begins with him drowning his sorrows at his favorite bar.
Here, this one's on me. I'm awful sorry about Jenny. Tonight would have been 10 years, right?
Wait. Jenny? As in, Jenny from the last game? This game takes place on the same timeline as Hail to the King? Ugh. Well, at least this is all we hear about it, and nothing else tries to creep in from that pile. Now, conveniently, the bar television is showing the local TV show Mysteries of the Occult, where the host, Trisha Petty, whoa! Hey now. Talk about your generational leaps in FMV quality. The host, Trisha Pettywood, who is interviewing Professor Alex Eldridge. He happens to be an ex-colleague of Nobi, as well as the author of a new book that provides an English translation for the Necronomicon. So they get real damn comfortable with themselves, they take some pot shots at Ash, and Trisha reveals that she intends to play the tapes from the Nobi cabin. And look, I'm not going to question how they got the tapes, but nobody at the station checked the tapes out before they went to air? They're just going to do this shit live?
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Nobody checked it over to make sure it wasn't like an old recording of Sgt. Pepper or something? But no, the tape gets played, and once again, Deadites are unleashed upon the Earth.
Make mine a double.
We take control of Ash on the street right outside of the bar, and what the hell is going on with his face? I mean, he does look like Bruce Campbell, but almost like he's fighting off a demon possession of his own. Despite that, it looks pretty good for a PS2 game. Luckily, we've dropped all of that, "Can I be Resident Evil also?" And this is a more straightforward action affair. They start you off with the titular boomstick, but soon enough you'll find all sorts of firearms and melee weapons that can be used in your left hand. And it's not long before they mercifully provide you with a chainsaw, which just seems to attach itself to Ash's right nub. I guess he's ready for any hardware he may want to use as a hand that day? And sweet tap dancing Christ, there is no fuel to worry about. Is that realistic? No. But let's just say I'm not too worried about realism in my game about a time-traveling badass who murders ancient demons. Vis knew that running out of gas and losing the ability to use your chainsaw is not fun. And we like fun. We like fun a lot. The controls in this game feel very smooth. Moving Ash with the left analog stick works well, although the camera controls on the right stick may be a bit on the sensitive side, and you can't change them. When I first started playing, I had the camera swinging around like I was on something. X swings your chainsaw, or uses other right-handed weapons that you'll eventually unlock. Square uses whatever's in your left hand, and all of the left-handed guns have a lock-on feature that allows you to shoot enemies from any direction. Ash will do this awesome over-the-shoulder maneuver whenever he fires at enemies who aren't directly in front of him, so running and shooting in this game is extremely satisfying. Despite all that, the combat in this game is very much a relic of its time. For example, it's difficult to readjust yourself once you started to attack, so occasionally I'd be hacking away at some pus bucket with my chainsaw, only to have another one of these fuckers come up from right behind me and smack me in the back of the head. They do provide you with a couple of special moves, like being able to impale enemies on the end of your chainsaw, and I may have just come down with a bad case of the suck, but I couldn't get the hang of these until nearly the end of the game. Each level is a large, semi-open area for you to explore. You have to find items and speak with NPCs, as well as complete the various objectives that Ash will jot down in his notebook, all the while being assaulted from every direction by all sorts of nasties. And according to the developers, you can have up to 30 enemies on screen at once. And they love to snuggle. I guess if I have one complaint, it's that they act more like run-of-the-mill zombies than actual Deadites, but for the purposes of this game, it works well enough. And last but certainly not least, they brought back the one-liner button. And while it still doesn't affect gameplay, the lines here are a lot better than they were last time.
Hey, nice face. Let me fix it for you. I understand the attraction, but I hate the clingy type. Rest in peace, dirtbag.
Yeah, the writing is pure cheese, but a lot of these quips wouldn't be out of place in Army of Darkness. There's also a variety of spells to acquire. Casting them requires mana, which you can refill by killing deadites. But you know, I only ever really used them when it was required in order to complete a stage.
Ad Nostrum,
Nah. So you explore the town, breaking into lumber yards, blowing up strip clubs, and you find your way to the TV station to confront the douche nozzles who started all this chaos. Instead, you end up saving their asses. And after a rather thankless rescue, you move on to the second half of the town. In this area, you'll notice these deadite spawning vortexes that are scattered all over the place. You find the church where Eldritch and Pettywood are hiding, and the priest informs you that the only way to close vortexes like these is with a piece of pure silver. And as luck would have it, a gang of local bikers robbed a jewelry store just the other night. And wouldn't you know it, they only stole silver. They're stupid. So you go around saving the bikers, or you could let the deadites gnaw on them a bit and then shove them full of chainsaw. I don't judge. And this is a running theme in this game. There will be vortexes, and there will be just enough silver lying around to cancel them out. You learn from Eldridge that you need to find Professor Nobi's notes. So you wander over to the college, and you save a faculty member from a group of his own deaded up students. And he just so happens to be a professor who was close with Nobi. He tells you that he can give you the notes, but since they were written with a cipher, they won't be of much use to you unless you get the key. So you get the notes, you find the key, and you close all the vortexes. And once again, you have to save the professor and Tits McFondle here, and it's at this point that Eldridge starts to take on a much more sinister tone.
At last, I can finally read Professor Nobi's notes. Excellent. It seems Nobi learned that a mortal could control these evil spirits.
Hey, I think he's the bad guy.
By control, you of course mean destroy, right?
According to him, in order to give the deadites the bums rush, you need to find something called a Kandarian summoning stone. Luckily, there's a museum in town built by an eccentric named Nathaniel Payne, and he had a particular penchant for collecting occult artifacts. And I'm starting to get the feeling that this game should have been called A Fistful of Coincidences. So you skip on down to the museum, you look around a little bit, you find a magic dowsing rod, blow up some exhibits to get these crystal thingies. In this game, when in doubt, explode it. You find this inconspicuous looking door and you slap your crystals into the front of it, and it's time for the first boss fight. And it's Nathaniel Payne. Not only is he still alive, but he's turned himself into... that? He's one of those gimmick bosses where you have to play baseball with his projectiles. Once you get the timing down, he's a piece of cake. You find the Kandarian summoning stone, and yep, the professor's turned to the dark side. And even with their foreshadowing earlier, this is kind of a quick turn. I mean, it really wasn't that long ago that he was saying,
I always thought these writings were mere superstitious nonsense.
and now he's got a hard-on for demons and world domination? Sadly, Ash has to postpone the bouncy with Red so that he can chase him into the vortex, and it's off to the colonial era. So you land, you make your way to town, and it just so happens that the local blacksmith is Ash's ancestor. And it kinda sounds like he's doing a really bad John Wayne impression.
Talk straight to me, fella. You saying we're kin?
He provides you with some new weapons, as well as upgrading a couple you already had. So after some investigation, you track Eldritch to a path behind the graveyard. And not only has he remained completely undetected in all of this, but he's also managed to kidnap the blacksmith? That's awfully resourceful of him. So blah blah blah, you grab some things, you do some stuff, you jump into a vortex, and it's the Civil War. When Ash lands, he learns that a mass of Deadites and presumably Eldritch are holed up in a Union fort. And it's at this point in the game that the default enemy becomes these Deadite warrior things. They are faster, stronger, and they take way more of a beating than your average run-of-the-mill possessed human. This part can get frustrating as fuck because they will swarm you at the drop of a hat. So you better have enough ammo to fend them off. As you explore the area, you run into yet another Williams. This guy heard stories of you when he was a kid, so he's ready to take you at face value. You close some more vortexes with these really conveniently placed bars of silver. You negotiate a temporary ceasefire between the two opposing sides, they help you storm the fort, and you're off to fight Eldritch for the final time. You blow a hole in his chest with your shotgun, which somehow causes him to turn into whatever the hell that is. And if you can believe it, he's even easier than the last boss. You kick his ass and it's off to the final stage of the game.
Evil Dearborn mission.
Ash once again lands in the present day. And he finds a group of surviving humans who inform him that the Deadites have taken over with the help of a woman who's been acting as their queen. And let's just cut to the chase. You free some people, you possess some enemies, you shove things into things, and then you're presented with the game's final boss. Of course it's Trisha, but she's become this lovely nightmare abomination. And for this fight, all you really have to do is dodge her attacks and then chuck dynamite at her face, which she graciously swallows for some reason. You keep damaging her like this, and she just kinda pops. I'd say that this is anticlimactic, but that might be a bit unfair to anticlimaxes. And in the ending cutscene, it's revealed that Ash has been relating his story in what looks like feudal Japan. You get some samurai deadites, and Ash does his best to deliver a line in Japanese.
Shinikate, Sukojitorio.
Groovy.
Ugh. You're just lucky that you're a hot slice of man, Bruce. This one was frustrating.
With Hail to the King, I knew I was playing a shitty game from start to finish, so there were no expectations for it to meet. But when I started to play this one, I was absolutely euphoric. The gameplay was so smooth, and I just loved hacking bitches up with my chainsaw. But as it wore on, that joy just started to fade away. I was always enjoying myself, but for a game that started with a bang, it just kind of ended with a fizzle. There are only 3 boss fights in the entire game. They're way too easy, and worst of all, they're forgettable. On the bright side, however, there is an arcade mode in addition to the story. The various challenges are objective-based and are unlocked sequentially as you play through the campaign. And you know, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I truly believe that this was a labor of love from Vis Entertainment. In the extra behind-the-scenes video that's included on the disc, they mentioned that they already had ideas for a sequel that they hoped would be an improvement on what we had here. Sadly, that game never came to be, and that's a shame. There is a lot to like here, guys, and I would recommend this game to fans of the genre even if they're not familiar with the films. Just bear in mind that it is a PlayStation 2 game through and through, but if you can handle something that feels a bit dated, you might get a kick out of this one.
2 down, 1 to go. And this time I'm moving into a bit of uncharted territory for myself when I look at the last game of Evil Dead Month. I'll see you then. When I take a look at Evil Dead, a fistful of Boomstick, and that's the back of the box.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. This one took an especially long time, but I am determined to have part 3 out on Halloween. If you like what you saw, please hit the subscribe button, hit me up on Twitter, and don't forget to comment below. Now to play more Evil Dead games.